Or not.
Russell Wilson has been traded to the Denver Broncos. Tom Pelissero reports that there is a deal in principle to send 9-time Pro Bowl quarterback Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos. In exchange for...
All right, back now with you on Total Access with breaking news out of Green Bay. We go straight to Tom Pelissero on the details of what's going on with Devontae Adams, who looks like the Raiders are acquiring him from the Packers. All right.
Hello, and welcome to the Wild Wild West podcast on this Wednesday. How are we all doing today, guys? Captain?
Wait a second. I got to put on the YouTube channel so that I can ignore myself on two channels. Okay, wait.
So there is only one. I was gonna say there's only one of us that's watching ourselves, and I think that might be you. But how are you doing?
Hey, stop talking about my OnlyFans page again.
We're plugging the OnlyFans early.
Dude, that's a new level of narcissism
right
there.
I was going to say, hey, you know what, Alex? Don't go there because we did have a joke pregame, and I don't want to make myself available to do that joke on you again. Let's just say, and I respect you a little bit more than you think. So,
hey, for the sake of comedy, you can do it if you think it'll play. But
we'll see if it's.
But at the same time, my team won last weekend. I don't think anyone else can say that, so I'm doing pretty good.
Oh, that's not true. My team did win.
Oh, win what?
Hockey team. Yeah. So I'm already on the hockey, man. I'm already on the hockey. I'm already on to what the Phillies are going to do in the offseason. I'm already on to the draft. I got lots to keep me out.
You're on, and we're in week 11.
Are you going to be at the draft next year?
This, I plan to go. It's in KC, so
yeah, I know. Hopefully I'll meet up with you there because that's the only way that I'm going to KC ever again. Or do I have to relive my bullshit experience of trying to get into Narrowhead Stadium from the goon squad that was there? Just saying.
Well, we kept on telling you not to bring in the pirate sword, and they just wouldn't let it fly.
I believe we all said.
Hey!
You said
I packed the pirate sword everywhere I go.
How did I know we were going to that?
Oh, I knew where that was going as soon as the
set him up. You gave him a soft toss on that one.
There you go. Here.
Yeah, that was right the underhand lob. Yeah, that was the underhand lob. Yeah. So, Alex, obviously, you had a fairly good weekend with your game.
Yeah.
Unlike the rest of us. How are you? How are you today? And ready to get into it?
Oh yeah, man, absolutely. Like I said, it's pretty solid showing Sunday. For it only being a 10-point difference in the score, I never really felt like the Jaguars ever had the game, or that it was ever a worrisome game for KC. And I think that they are continuing to roll and progress, and coming into a pretty pivotal matchup with the Chargers. So ready to get going. I don't think it ever was PG, as much as we like to think.
Because stop saying PG because I wonder who. PG is bad words, because anytime you say PG around a Raiders fan, it either means Paul Gunther or
Paul
Patrick
George.
Graham. Okay,
I don't know who either of those people are.
They're the shitty defensive coordinators that sandwiched the defensive coordinator last year. Avatar, I was actually looking for my Flyers hat. I was going to give you a visual. I'm a Flyers fan.
Go Blues.
So, with regards to the KC game, Alex, obviously it was interesting. I mean, the Jags are they're a formidable team. They're really not that far away from really, I think, truly competing. I did think it was going to be this year for them, to be honest, and I have messaged Ty, the Jags super fan,
our honorary podcast member, right?
Yeah. No, he's awesome. I love Ty's a great dude. But I messaged him, and I've been very surprised. I truly expected the start to the season to be more or less what we were going to see from the Jags throughout. And I think we've just seen Lawrence show some growing pains throughout the year that he's going to need. He's going to need that veteran leadership of their coach to get him through. What's your take on what you saw, and frankly, if you think that they're going to be potentially even dangerous next year?
Oh yeah. Well, as much as I don't want to talk about the losing opponent, I guess I will. No, I'm kidding. But I know I said last week, I mean, it's a pretty solid roster when you look at it from top to bottom. But as it should be with 10 years of top 5 picks, you should at some point be in a pretty solid position to be competitive. I was a little shocked with how they started with where they're at now, especially being in the AFC South, as bad as that division has seemed. Watching the game though, Lawrence really didn't play bad. He had a lot of very good throws. He made a lot of pretty key completions. And it pretty much came down to, like I said it would, could their offense keep up with the scoring pace of KC, which it obviously couldn't. I don't think a lot of offensive can when you get Mahomes in that unit in full force, just steamrolling, because they almost get in games where it seems like they can just do whatever they want and boom. I mean, they had a ridiculous percentage of third down completions, and for as many pretty touted pass rushers that Jacksonville has, like Josh Allen, Travon Walker is the number 1 pick this year. They really didn't get a whole lot of pressure. The only sack they had was getting Mahomes down at the line of scrimmage when he tried to scramble up. But other than that, I mean, he had a ridiculous amount of time to throw, barely got touched. But I mean, Mahomes has also kind of made a career out of almost getting hit and somehow unathletically getting out of it and completing a bomb dart for 40 yards. But really, I mean, I think Jacksonville is definitely a team on the come up. I'd expect to see them. I don't know what their schedule looks like the rest of this year, but you would think that we get to I guess Tennessee's probably already ran away with the South, but you would think next year, like, they're going to be, talked about going into next season as being a contender to win the AFC South. And I saw a lot of pretty good things out of their offense. And I think Peterson is the right coach to progress Lawrence. It kind of sucks for Lawrence that he somewhat had like a red shirt year, because he had that dumpster fire with Urban Meyer and then no one. And they really
get his name right. It's Urban Liar.
Sir Humps a lot. That's what I call him.
He what's a lot?
He said Sir Humps a lot because he had to stay behind at his restaurant. You see that video where he's like grinding on some chick?
That's the only thing I admire about Urban Liars, that he can score some trim, man.
Yeah,
that's as old. He kind of like he's not a hero to me because I can do pretty well for this white beard as well, but he ain't bad. He ain't bad.
Yeah. And like my man Ghost Man, who I believe is a new viewer, so welcome. And it seems like
welcome, Ghost Man.
I mean, Kadarius Toney had an unbelievable game. Definitely, I think I tweeted right after, objectively speaking, pretty unfair that the league let KC get him for almost nothing because he is very much the same type of guy as Tyreek with pretty ridiculous ball skills. So I think that moving forward, you see him really progress in this offense and somewhat come out. I mean, literally, he had this insane grab where he readjusted his gloves before he even went for the ball. You see him, Mahomes is lobbing this up, and he's like in double coverage down the sideline. And here's Toney just doing this and then jumps up and mosses everyone. And I'm like, yeah, Hardman would never. And I mean, he's, like I said, similar skill set to both Hardman and Tyreek. And I think you see him, and I think they got him for the mindset of, literally pennies on the dollar. But I think they got him with the mindset of we're going to pump him into the same type of role that Tyreek was in and running a lot of these deep crossing routes that you saw him put Hardman in. But the mesh with Hardman and Mahomes was just off where they weren't really completing them. And it at least seems from the onset of it, he's got a much better connection with Toney. And I think you see that, kind of take off. And I think it's interesting too that, they spent the second round pick on Sky Moore and have never, ever tried to get him involved.
That's a mistake.
After he started, fumbling punts, and then he just kind of went down. And I think it's pretty apparent now that he's kind of, on to next year with him, and they're going to see what they can do with Tony. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy just for spending such a high pick on someone and just not making an effort to get him involved. But Andy Reid's always kind of done that with someone. And then, the other thing that at least from a Chiefs perspective, I think this game was kind of a pretty clear indication that they are done with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He did not have any carries. I think he played him like his snap percentage was ridiculously low.
I was going to say that. So Gabe stole my thunder, but thanks for the setup there, Gabe.
He is injury prone.
As a Gator, as a Gator alumni, like I said, he is fantastic up until the time that you need him.
Yeah.
And so just be buyer beware on that. And again, I'm not saying that you didn't.
Obviously that was his knock, right? I mean, he can't stay healthy. And I was kind of I didn't realize that when he caught that touchdown early on in the game, that was his first career touchdown. And I was like, what? Because I felt like he had at least 3 games last year where he just went off. Then I went back and looked, which he did, but he didn't score. And so, I think that's kind of evidence of how often he's not on the field, whether it be with injuries or and I also
go with the or. Go with the or because that's the other thing about Kadarius Toney. His or. He's got a horrible attitude.
Well, I was going to call him a cancer, but then I was like, I don't want to say that. He definitely was, at least that was the sense in New York. And he's saying all the right things now. But at the same time, he's in a much better position. And if things don't go well, I don't see him being the type of player that responds well to that. DZ, Andy Reid did say that, but from my experience with Andy Reid, when he says that means he's doubling down on not playing him. So, I think we don't see a whole lot of Clyde Edwards-Helaire anymore.
No, I agree. I think your other back that you have on the roster is basically
Pacheco and McKinnon. For as old and banged up as that dude's been, seems to be a pretty efficient third down back. And he's really caught on in terms of, scramble drill when Mahomes, runs around. McKinnon always seems to be the guy that's open that, he connects with. I don't know. I need to go look, but I felt like McKinnon was on a good portion of their third down conversions just for being aware and finding open space. And, that's just not something that Clyde Edwards-Helaire can do. And Pacheco, Pacheco is just like an angry runner. Whenever you watch him run, you're just like, geez, like looks like he's just like destroying the ground with every step. Like, chill out, man. You always see them do that with younger running backs. Like they try to bring them on. And the biggest thing with Clyde is he just got hurt a lot in a very small window. I mean, he had like knee injury last year and a high ankle sprain, and then did the same thing this year. And he's just not the same guy that he was, running all over Alabama when he was at LSU, and the thing that got him drafted. And I think that by seeing, his time's only gone down the more that they've gotten Pacheco involved, the more that McKinnon's got involved. You've seen them not make an effort to give Clyde the ball. And even when he got the ball, he just did not look the same guy. And that's
on him.
Yeah. And so I think it's just pretty evident that they're done with him. They're not going to make it an effort to get him involved anymore. And you see him move on.
Yeah. So Andrew, Coach will be with us shortly. He had an issue with a car tire on the way home, so he'll be with us shortly. He has said he'll join in when he can.
With roads in Virginia being as they are, that doesn't surprise me that he doesn't have issues with car tires every day, because the roads in Virginia just suck with either potholes or semis that
you never seen the roads in Illinois.
Sorry?
I said you never seen the roads in Illinois.
No,
they're pretty bad.
They are terrible. Yeah.
They're bad.
Oh, no, I take it back. I was in Chicago one summer.
You were in Chirac?
They are pretty shitey.
Well, that's Chirac.
Well, what the problem with Illinois and Chicago and that whole area is that you're far enough north where you get extreme temperatures and whatnot, but you don't build the roads like the way we do here in Canada. So you get wicked bad potholes, and you have to constantly repair the roads.
Yep. That's
so it's just, you need to learn from your neighbors further north who are able to maintain roads in much colder temperatures and not get.
They take off day to the great white north. Take off. It's a beauty to go.
But in terms of Tooney, I think it's really interesting. Your comments, and I agree. I think do you want to think ultimately the thing is that he's got Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. And I think that he was a bit of a diva.
With Daniel Jones before that.
Right. That's my point, is that he had a diva attitude, and he was the more talented of the two players between him and his quarterback.
Yeah.
And the issue is that he knew it, and then he tried to exert that out on, everyone else on the team. Well, now he's come over to the Chiefs, and this is not a competition. Mahomes is the more talented of the two players between him, the two.
No, there's no denying that.
No, so this is a Tooney. Mahomes goes up, hold my beer.
Yeah.
and then says, okay, now we're gonna go. And I think that's a lot of the reasons why. I think there's a lot of reasons why you're seeing kind of what you're seeing now is he's finally been put in a position where he needs to basically sit down, shut up, and play.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, my mug is empty. So because I need to get some beer. Yeah, I can't.
Barwinch, fetch him a beer.
Yo, Barwinch. Yo. Wow. Hey,
another pint.
Hey, bitch, give me some beer. No.
Wow.
hey, you got to catch up, Coach. I've already gone to PG-13, and what's the other one?
We're slowly climbing up to the R rating.
NC-17.
Yeah.
No. I was almost at NC-17, but I kept my shorts on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that rating is for Captain's OnlyFans, available after hours.
There you go.
I will be right. I will be right back. I'm the because I would never have to have any more wonderful, nice comments until Coach is here. Coach, good to see you. I will be tuning out for just a second. I'll be right back.
Man, after you said all that about Coach, you're leaving now?
Oh, trust me. Trust me. I'm coming back. I'm coming back. Coming back. You got some stuff. I'll be right back.
So now that he's gone, no,
right.
Yeah, finally, all right.
Yeah. All right.
Now that old dirty pirate's gone.
Remember, I can still hear you, you bastard.
So, Coach, we were just kind of finishing talking about the Chiefs game. Obviously, successful outing for them. Also discussing how they've gone through some changes, but it's kind of just different players playing better in the roles that they were intending other players to play in come start of the season. And that's kind of seemingly I think where the Chiefs are, right now. And obviously they've gotten their offense rolling. Over to the Chargers. And again, Coach, we did cover off. One, we let everyone know that you were coming and you're going to be a little later. But two, this is a unique week for the AFC West. Rather apropos that we are all on a podcast here together, because each AFC West team plays a different AFC West team.
This is why the podcast
which I think really makes
exactly. That's why we're here, right?
This is if there was no better reason, it is this very week that's coming up. So we are going to get into that shortly. But a quick recap, Coach, in terms of your thoughts of your last game and all of the ins and outs.
Well, thoroughly impressed with the effort, especially defensively. I'm thoroughly impressed with the effort. Nobody gave us a shot going into the game, and then we were up for most of it. Honesty. That bye week, team comes off a bye week is always touchy. They can really be clicking because they fixed up or tuned up some issues that they had previously, or they just can be rusty. And I think a little bit of that played into it with the 49ers, on top of the fact that, we just gave a lot of we just had a lot of grit. And as Staley said himself, he had a great game plan going into the game that allowed for the defense to be able to be effective despite, constantly losing guys throughout the game. We lost 2 D tackles throughout the game, Christian Covington and our rookie Otito Obonyo. So I think that, being the score to be what it was, I think the overall effort was really good. It's just the offense, man. I think that if we had one weapon, now I don't even think we needed 2. I just think we needed one weapon. Gerald Everett went out with a groin the first quarter, so we lost our pass catching tight end. We were already down 1 going into the game. So you got a 3rd string tight end, 5th and 6th string and practice squad player receivers, no running game. It was just tough sledding.
You're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah. I think that is definitely accurate. So, but anyway, I appreciate the effort, because I think that games like this in the past for the Chargers, I think that it speaks to the focus and the grit and the moxie of the team, because these type of games, when we were decimated by injuries in the past, we got blown out. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It'll be a really ugly game.
I'm gonna take a line out of one of the greatest movies of all time, Animal House. And this is from me to you. My advice is to start drinking heavily. Okay?
Right.
I thought you were gonna say you were a zit.
No, I can't do it. I got shit in my hands, man. Come on, man. Come on. Wait a second.
I feel like that bottle has never gone down in the 7 times you've presented it on the show.
Or it could just be a new bottle each time.
Yeah. This is why we're inquiring. Here we go.
Here it is.
Woo!
Here it is. Shot.
He's in full Raiders mode now.
There you go.
And I gargled it. Oh. Woo! So you knew that it wasn't just empty, because here, I don't know if you can see it or not, but that's some.
Oh, we can see.
We can smell it. Yeah, I know.
You've been drinking?
That's some real Grand Marnier right there.
Give a man of sobriety right now.
Give him sobriety. The Raiders.
The Raiders are friggin' awesome. I didn't swear. I said friggin', which is kind of bad up in Canada, but it's okay down here.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Avatar, what's happening? BC, DZ, what's happening over there? Andrew, how you doing? We'll give you a quick.
We have a good, solid, regular crew here in terms of fans of the show. We appreciate all of you being here. If you haven't already, like button down below the video. And if you are watching us after the fact, go ahead and hit the like and comment in order to help grow the show and grow each of our channels. That would be wonderful. And again, all of those channel links are down below in the description.
And I only need 110 more people, and I got 2,000 subscribers. So get the word out,
congrats. Early congrats. You'll get it.
Well, no. Don't jinx. But 110 ain't bad for 2,000. Get the word out, folks. I mean, you can see me dance. You can see me, with my pirate sword. All the stuff that you miss, Coach.
Wow.
All the stuff that you miss, Coach.
I gotta watch the replay on this one.
He's hitting all the topics that got us to the current
I gotta watch the replay on this one. This was gonna be good. I can already see
it. It would be.
Trust me,
I still got one for you, though. Coach. I'm glad you're here tonight because I was afraid you were not going to get a nice sharp barb from me.
Okay.
We're good.
Coming, buddy.
There's a joke in there somewhere.
Yeah, it is. To wrap up your question, though, Rich, that I liked our effort on defense. I liked the aggressiveness up front when they was, it was obvious what the 49ers were trying to do, and they wouldn't let them do it at an easy clip. And again, we just needed some offense. If we found some offense at some point in the game in the second half, we would have won the game. And there goes Cap.
We shouldn't have let him take that shot. It's clearly already.
Hey, you goaded me.
My man is feeling himself.
He's off the rails, and the train is off the track.
Like,
you bastard! You goaded me, you bastard! I need another shot.
Pretty soon he's gonna be sending texts. You up?
Yeah, right.
Hey, baby. Hi, hey, baby. I miss you, baby. Hey. Hey, bitch, don't grab the gun. I'm coming over.
New phone, who this?
Yeah.
Does this number still work?
Right.
The subscriber you are trying to reach is not in service at this time.
There you go.
Yeah. So no, I'm not gonna lie. It was an interesting game. I did watch part of the Niners game and Chargers. I'm going to be honest. I didn't think you were going to beat the Niners. I just think that they were going to be a bridge too far given the strength of your roster at the moment.
Hey, we covered the spread. I'm happy about that.
Hey, somebody mentioned a spread. Woohoo!
The woohoo at the end. That was it. It was the woohoo at the end. That's the drunken man's calling card.
For every like we get, Cap will take another shot. So keep going.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit, every like, Cap takes a shot. Let's go.
If I do that shit, I'll be drunk before I hit Raider Nation. NFL Nation.
You don't know what show you on tonight. Look at him. You don't know what show you doing tonight. You already have it.
Hey, I got a lot of this shit left to drink, dude. Don't get there.
This is all John Saturday's fault. This is all John Saturday's fault.
So with regards to the Broncos game, we'll kind of deviate a little bit to kind of bring the show back onto the rails and reel that back in. There we go.
There you go.
So, Coach, as a result of the Titans game, the Broncos have now overtaken the Chargers.
Really?
As the most injured team in the NFL.
Oh, I was like, huh? What was it?
Hey, they got something.
Really? It can't be by much because we lost 2 bodies in the game. How many did you lose?
3.
Oh, there. Well, yeah.
And you were not really winning that battle by much to begin with.
This is a fact.
With who we had on IR. Yeah.
Right.
And so anywho, oh, this is funny.
Yeah, I got it. I did get it. Oh, I thought. Dave, we will, trust me. And I thought you were talking about this one.
That one is also good.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Derek Carr only cried because he knew all the reporters would be like, "Why are you guys bad?" So he's like, "How do I get around this? I'm just gonna show up and start crying."
I'm pissed off, man.
What?
I'm pissed off.
So I'm going to deviate over to. I'll take a little trek over there. In my opinion, I think that Carr was like that because I believe in his opinion, he believes that some of the things that are taking place are being done on purpose, and I believe that he sees it as disrespectful to both him and, moreover, because he is this type of guy, he sees it as disrespectful for the other guys, and particularly guys that are not getting paid as well as him, who are putting their bodies through absolutely just torture just to keep on the field. And I believe in his mind, he feels that there are certain things that are just there. He's been there long enough to be able to see enough of the things take place where I think he's seeing some of the things there. And I also think that he feels a little slighted in the fact that it's likely that McDaniels is going to try to use this as a means of kicking him out the door and exercising that kind of 1 year out on the contract. And Captain, you were pretty spot on in your commentary, I think, the last show, where they used Derek Carr to bring Davante Adams over. And in my opinion, I think that they're going to then kick Derek Carr out the door. I think Davante Adams is going to be pissed because you already heard his locker room commentary, and it was not nice. And it was not geared towards Carr.
Yeah.
What he said.
Well, I want to add on to, and by the way, very, very eloquently and profound in your statement. I'm going to add a little bit to it if I'm allowed to. Okay. I think that some of Derek's statements he is pissed off. He is emotional. People are getting on the case that he's emotional. Some people get emotional. Okay. He didn't cry. But and I said this on my other show the other night, I said, when I get mad, I tear up because I'm so mad. It just makes me tear because I want to punch something, but I can't. And it's not the tears of crying of being a wuss. It's the tears of, man, I am so mad at what's going on. It makes me tear up. And he was his throat was there, and he was obviously upset. But I also think, and I don't think that you caught all of this there, shipmate. I think that some of those barbs were made at Darren Waller because he was talking about how you don't understand what we have to do in order to play the game, what we have to do at night in order to sleep, and all those other things. And he said, there is a schism. That's the word of the day, by the way. It's schism. SCHISM, I believe.
You're saying this?
So close to that. Did I get it? SCHISM.
That's correct. You move on to the next round.
Okay, next round. There is a schism in the locker room. It's people that are loyal to or have bought into what McDaniels is trying to do, and the operative word is trying to do, and those that are loyal to what Carr has in the team. And there might even be like another fracture of there's people that just, they want they F out. It's a schism. And there are issues there. And I'm on record saying that as let me see. Yeah, see, I did it correctly the first time. I'm not that drunk yet. Okay. Yeah. I'm not as drunk as you think I am, damn
Another shot.
Okay. Or I'm not as think as you drunk, whatever. See, I'm definitely not as think as you drunk I am.
Think as you drunk?
No, dude, I had a big gulp, but I can do more. The point is that there's a lot of dissension in that locker room. I think McDaniels has lost the locker room for the people that don't buy in. Those people will be gone. The people that haven't bought in that he's lost, they're going to be gone. And it's going to be a 2 to 3 year process of taking a playoff team and totally just gutting it. And that's what McDaniels do. Now, somebody made a great evaluation the other day is that Robert Saleh came into the Jets, a team that sucks so bad they can suck the chrome off of trailer hitches. You know what I'm talking about, baby. But they've sucked for years, and he has brought his MO, his persona, his vision, right? The Jets were god-awful for years. He came in there, and within about a year and a half, they're actually one of the better teams in the AFC East, and they are actually ascending, okay? They're going to be better than that.
Yeah,
and it takes a bit for people to buy in. So that's why I think that this is going to be the rebuild, And the quote of the day of sheer ignorance is with Mo Davis. Yeah, I said that correctly. Mo Davis, who was asked by reporters, I think that Josh McDaniels is doing a fine job. Well, you know what? F you. And I am keeping it. I think I've only said the S word, have I not? I don't want to make it really bad for monetization. Well, other than pirate swords and stuff, but still, that's the other thing. But the point is that it's a rebuild, and with Dan McDaniels being there, it's honestly because Mo Davis. Not to be concerned with Mo Green, the other guy in Vegas, but that's another movie. See, there's another movie reference. There you go. Mo Davis has taken this team, let Josh McDaniels play, but he does not have the money. He does not have the liquid wealth in order to pay Gruden. He paid Gruden, let's call it $30 million. Let's say it was $30 million. Could be more, but he gave him an out. So he had to take that money out of his coffers. So let's call it $30 million for Gruden, right? Let's say that the contract for McDaniels, I believe, and I'm calling it $8 million a year at 4 years, which is 32. That's 32 that he is on the hook for, okay? Because McDaniel hasn't done anything like Al would do. Says, well, yeah, I can get you for whatever. Al used those wonderful words when you got rid of Lance Kiffin. Yes, I was there for the Lance Kiffin overhead projector crap. That should be in the Hall of Fame, by the way. The overhead projector, that should be in the Hall of Fame, because he's got nothing on him to get him for a breach of contract. So he owes him, let's say, $32 million, right?
They're in Vegas, man. Just send them to a booby bar and put some white powder around him.
24 mil after this year.
Put some white powder right next to him, take a picture, and be like, "You're out."
Not white powder.
Okay, well, that might be coming. No pun intended. But until such things happen, he's on the hook for that. So he's got no liquid assets. That's why McDaniels is going to be the coach through this year and into next year, because he's going to need something to happen. But the team is being reconstructed. I know that's not a word, but I just made it up.
I got a little schism for you too.
Re-engineered. How about that? Re-engineered.
But I saw. I watched a video. Richie, I think, actually responded to it was a Raider account. It was like a YouTube video of some guy breaking down like the McDaniel situation, and it kind of made sense when he compared it to what he did in Denver, where he got there and instantly tried to get rid of Jay Cutler to bring in Matt Castle. Pissed off everyone, got rid of Cutler anyways, and that guy was talking about how McDaniel, like you said, is kind of indirectly tanking to point the finger at Carr and say, okay, I got a top 5 pick. I want to get my guy, get this dude out of here. And I think that's what you see. I mean, that's what's going on, honestly. I mean, as an outsider looking in.
Yeah. The problem is that Carr was actually pretty smart in how he worked his contract. And the reason why I say that is that they have to get rid of him outright and they can't trade him after this year. So what I mean by that is let's just let's look at what the Raiders are doing at the moment. So there's something weird, I think, that's going on, and I think they're kind of doing it in purpose. They're not taking
this next one. There it is.
Oh, okay.
I'm ready for you, brother. I got you.
Yeah, indirectly tanking is another. It's a schism to say they suck.
Yeah.
Word of the day. Ding, 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 ding.
It's like Sesame Street, except football style. But but no, I disagree. So I think that I agree with the concept, but I think what's happening here in the way that Carr has his contract structured is he's got that 1 year out and they have to cut him. So they can't trade him to get picks. So they can't just get a bargain on his first year or get a reasonable first year out of him, trade him for picks, not do well, and then bring someone in. They just can't do it.
Carry.
The Raiders cannot do that.
That was the coach, man.
No, it's not. Not at all.
Coach went.
No, I did not. No, I did not. Shoot that like Duck Hunt. You ever move the game Duck Hunt?
Sorry.
So I think Carr's got himself in a good spot, because in order for McDaniels to do what he's doing, which I think is happening, is the Raiders can then not turn around and trade Carr without absorbing a fair amount of his contract.
Yeah.
Well, and what I think is this, and I am on record, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but we'll find out shortly after the Super Bowl. I am on record to state that Derek Carr has played out the contract that he is in here. They are going to get rid of him on that out. Now, everybody says that, no. Derek Carr is going to be here next year. He's bought into the system. Then whatever. But once they cut him, the contract is done. They eat $5 million. They eat $5 million. That's part of the contract. And Alex is a lawyer, so I'm going to give a lawyer question here. What they can do is, once he's out and he's on a new contract, then McDaniels can say, okay, shipmate. I always like to use the term shipmate. This is what we got for you. You're getting it. You're not quite there. If you want to stay, this is a new contract, because the old one is history. Okay, we're eating $5 million. But of that $5 million we're eating, we'll put that back into a new contract. We'll give you a 1 year. Well, wait a second. We're going to do a new contract for you. And if you want to stay, here it is. Okay? Because otherwise, we're going to eat $5 million. That's where. The only thing that I see coming is either he says, okay, because I want to be a Raider, or option 2 is, guess where he will go? He will go to the Texans.
The Commanders.
To avenge his brother's departure. Okay?
Wow.
That's option 2. Or option 3 is, he said, you know what? We're going to be doing my ministry anyway. I'm just going to get a head start on it. But that's what I think.
No.
It's going all over the place.
No.
3 options.
You just threw a big circle and said it could be any of these.
No. But he's not going to be there for that contract for next year. That close to $40 million that he was going to get. That he's not getting that.
Well, he's going to play it out. Right here. I have the numbers right here.
Please, Coach, indulge me.
So he's $5 million in dead money if you cut him before June 1st, and you save $29.25 million. But if you cut them pre-June 1. So you're basically saving in a net of about $24 million if you cut them before June 1st of the next calendar year. So and it's even less after that. He's $3 million against the cap after in 2024 and $1 million in 2025. So if you cut him now, you eat $5 million, you save $24 million in cap space. So you have plenty of capital to save, to spend on other things. And if you have a high draft pick, you would naturally draft a quarterback. So you would reset the market, have a quarterback on a rookie deal, and have at least $24+ million to spend in free agency.
And I don't think, and if I'm the Raiders,
Stroud, Bryce Young, someone.
No, negative.
Hold on, could I just quickly jump in here, Captain? The one thing I think that you and I think other fans of the Raiders are completely not taking into account. Derek Carr will be a sought-after commodity in the offseason if you cut him.
That's a fact.
Okay, I'm sorry, he just will. And I think your comment earlier of he's gonna come back and grovel back for whatever. No, I think another team
grovel.
No, but the only way that your team would want him back is at less than his cap hit from his current contract.
Backup money. You want to back up.
And what my point is that Derek Carr will be offered more than what his current contract is on the open market. And if you outright cut him,
Texans,
he will have
Giants,
Panthers, Commanders. He will have a
Falcons, maybe
Yeah, any team that's not going to be in the top 10 in the draft, they're going to be looking for Derek Carr.
Okay. Do you guys remember that Derek Carr has stated on the record, and I'm going to have to throw this in there because you guys might not be aware of this. Derek Carr has stated on the record that the Raiders are the only team he wants to play for. He wants to only play for the Raiders. He wants to retire a Raider.
He said that now, but once he
I get that. But what I'm saying is that it's one of those put up or shut ups, which is why I'm saying one of those options might be the Texans, because of, remember when his brother got drafted, he was the little kid wearing the Texans hat at the draft. I think that actually might happen because the Texans do need a quarterback. But remember, the Texans got the number 1 pick in the draft right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, which means he's not going there because he won't want to go there because he's going to want to get paid like a starter. Now, unless the Texans are willing to give him a 2-year deal where he gets, say $30 or $40 million a year, well, he might be willing to do something like that, but I don't think he's doing that. But either way, I want to quickly go through the
I'm sorry, I took us off that tangent. I apologize.
And then we need to kind of quickly get on to the next week because we're gonna run short on time overall in the show. But when we look at the Titans game versus Broncos game, the Broncos lost Graham Glasgow, who is our second string offensive center, who, if you ask my honest opinion, should have been our starting offensive center, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, so we lost Cushenberry, who's on IR, who is our starting offensive center, and now Glasgow's out week to week. We lost Jerry Jeudy on the first play of the game with an ankle, who is now week to week. And we lost Billy Turner, who's now been put on IR, who has played all of like 1 game for us, or maybe 2 games for us, who is not looking like a spectacular offseason acquisition. But just as I said earlier to you, Coach, with the additions now to IR for the Broncos, we have now soundly overtaken the Chargers as the most injured team in the NFL.
It's not something we should be proud of. Godly.
I mean, we're just killing it over here. And
if we went into that, then we got rough road ahead. I tell you that.
Oh, KJ Hamler's out too,
and KJ Hamler is also week to week with his injury as well. Yeah, so now keep in mind, my comments are solely based upon those guys that are on IR. If you're then adding in or piling on, if you will, to the guys who are wounded and unable to play, we have KJ Hamler, we had Justin Simmons, who was unable to play the last game, Baron Browning unable to play the last game, and I think there's like 1 or 2 others that are. So I mean, it is insane the number of injuries that the Broncos have right now. That being said, though, even with all of those injuries, both on offense and defense, the Denver Broncos are still averaging holding our opponents to under 17 points a game.
Yeah, shut down Derrick Henry, man, really pissed me off. But
so, and that was a comment that was made earlier. Yeah. We held Derrick Henry to 55 yards, which broke his 100-yard rushing streak that he had going, and we just killed him. Like he was a non-factor. He was a non-factor.
I saw it firsthand. That front 7 is physical, man.
Yeah. So overall, we saw a lot of the same things that we saw in previous games from the Denver Broncos.
I mean, there's no one that's disputing the Broncos have a top-tier defense.
That's not the issue.
Which blows my mind because you see teams like the Ravens, right, have won 2 Super Bowls with a pretty subpar offense and stellar defense. And it's kind of the same dynamic with the Broncos, but for whatever reason, their offense just cannot help the defense.
No, I already know that reason, though. That's what I was about to get into.
Well, that's the thing. It's a different ball game now than the 2000 Ravens and the 2012 Ravens. It's a different ball game. Yeah.
No, but here's an example. So, Coach, having come from actually Alex as well, with your experience on the O-line. So right now, from left to right on the Broncos offensive line, and Coach, you too. So we have a second string left tackle.
I'm not Coach.
Well, I'm pretty sure you weren't having Grand Marnier before games, but maybe I'm wrong.
Possible. Remember, he played in the 40s now.
So yeah, that's true.
They wore those leather hats.
There you go.
Hey,
you had to be madman or liquored up. You had to be a madman or liquored up to play with a leather helmet, so it's possible.
My great grandfather was a leatherhead.
I prop fell
on and swung his pirate sword around.
Right.
No, I'll be right back. My prop fell behind the desk. 1 second.
Okay.
Please tell me.
So Coach, my great grandfather was a leatherhead and played.
Really?
Yeah. So I have I'll find a picture. I'll show. My great grandfather was 6'4" and 270 pounds.
Was like a giant back then.
Well, back then he was like,
yeah, that's like,
yeah, hell yeah,
yeah, and
he's basically Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
and he was a legit leatherhead. Like I have a picture of him. Like he used to play for, if anyone knows the CFL, the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Okay.
Well, in the original CFL, they were not called the Tiger Cats. I actually forget their original name. He played for the original Hamilton Tiger Cats back way back. I mean, and this was basically when you could like punch a guy in the face and it was like totally legal.
Yeah, it was legal.
Right, right. The Hamilton Beach Blenders.
Yeah.
The Hamilton Beach Blenders, man.
Yes. Yeah. So my grandfather was a legitimate leatherhead. I have like the pictures and everything with him on the field and this whole uniform.
Oh,
and
wow.
I knew it. I knew he had one. I knew it.
And it fits perfectly. That's the thing. It fits
the Raiders
perfectly.
one, huh?
There you go.
Is that what you wear in the alumni games?
Hey, stop talking that way. I need another shot of Grand Marnier.
It has the it has the general look of the Monty Python and the Holy Grail Frenchman. So good.
I'm gonna go ahead and put in a. I'm gonna put in a motion for Cap to wear that the rest of the show.
I agree.
Yeah.
Motion's granted.
Even I agree. There you go.
So anyways, the Broncos, generally speaking, Alex, to answer your question, and Coach Captain rather, I think this is gonna kind of segue ourselves into the Broncos Raiders game nicely. Is not a schism, a segue. You know, I know they're both S words, but
I got an S word for you.
I'm sure you do, but we're just not going to go there.
That's not his favorite S word, though. I tell you that.
Yeah. So, so Alex, as I was discussing, so we have a second string left tackle. We have our starting left guard, who's the only starter who's left on our offensive line. We are now on our third string offensive center. We have what should have been our starting right guard, although he was hurt at the beginning of the season, and we are now on our fourth string right tackle.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Wow,
looks pretty brutal.
Yeah. Yeah,
a lot of cues on this depth chart too.
Yeah, like to put things in perspective, the right tackle that we had go into the game was a call up from our practice squad.
Yeah, it's never good.
You got a whole O-line out. Like you got 5 questionable.
Especially when you're going against, Titans have a pretty solid front
D-line. Even without Simmons in there, it's still a spectacular D-line, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, and Vrabel, I mean, pretty evident. Vrabel is a pretty solid NFL coach. And
yes, he is.
His team's always well coached defensively.
Yeah.
I mean, physical.
Yeah. But again, so for the former offensive linemen that are in the panel here in the group, so typically speaking, when you have a banged up line or you have a lot of new guys that are coming into the offensive line, and you're basically trying to claim that your base scheme is going to be outside zone, so you're going to run outside.
Yeah.
You have an option of running under center or running in shotgun. And you have all those new guys there. Yeah, I'm going to go on a limb and saying running under center is going to be the way to go because it gives a better lane for the back and you're able to protect the quarterback better.
I was going to say shotgun, inside zone. Just tell those dudes.
No, outside zone.
Well, yeah, but if in that situation, I'm running zone and telling them get to this space and don't body. We don't need a one-on-one Aaron Donald over here for a
right
dive, like
right.
especially when
you'd want to max protect. You want to add the tight ends tight. You'd want to add the tight ends and tight on the outsides, and but the Broncos ran shotgun and they just ran and they threw the ball 42 times.
Hey,
but I mean, hey, you did trade for a franchise QB and pay him, so you should, in theory, do that stuff.
Right, but that's kind of where my point is. Now, when we transition over to looking at the Raiders game coming up this week in Week 11, they have some pretty decent guys on the interior of the defensive line, and
wait a second, wait, cue it up. Say it one more time, brother.
What?
Say it again. This is my barb for coach. Come on, say it again.
There is no schism.
They have a solid line.
Tear up the interior defensive line, you schmuck. You just said, say it again.
What, the interior defensive line?
Of the Raiders, because we are saved now. We've been brought to the Holy Land. Hallelujah.
Because of Tillery?
Tillery, the waivers from the Chargers.
Your internet didn't even want you to get that message off.
Right. Right. Yeah, good. Yeah, enjoy that piece of crap. I'll tell you that much. Yeah.
Now, what will be interesting though is what happens if he does well.
Really?
You know what?
What happens if he does well?
He's gonna play one game well when he play the Chargers again. That's it. He's gonna play well because he had an action going.
But go off.
But he hasn't been good in 3 years, so I'm not expecting much out of him. Honestly,
dude, I'm not expecting nothing out of him.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, Darius Pilon played his ass off for the Raiders.
Pilon was great.
Yeah, I would take Pilon over Tillery all day.
Yeah, but the greatest game that he played were against the Chargers, and so I think that they're gonna save Jerry Tillery
just for that game. Yeah, of course. He's gonna play. He's gonna have he's gonna have 3 pressures and the sack or some crap like that against us, but nothing else in another game. That's what he's gonna do.
I know. Yeah. But that's what, as soon as I got that news, I said, "Oh, I got some more material for Coach because that's baby."
But if any offensive coordinator is smart, anytime he's in a game, they're going to run right at him, and he's going to get pushed into the linebackers, into the safeties' lap for every single play. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Oh, whoops, sorry, wrong one.
Yeah, Jerry Mellon. There you go. There you go.
I did think it was a little bit of, I don't know if I want to call it poetic justice. The Chargers release him and then instantly lose 2 D linemen for the year.
That's the thing. I would have still been okay with picking up a practice squad player than him because, again, every time he's in the game, I cringe because anywhere they ran anywhere near him, it was a large gain or a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean the Chargers did grab a defensive interior defensive lineman from the Browns just today. I think
yesterday. Tyler Davidson. Yeah, Tyler Davidson.
Yeah, and he's a great run stuffer. So I think he's gonna fill a bit of a void there for the Chargers. To be perfectly honest. And if he starts to elevate as he plays more and more, I mean, he could be, a reasonable rotational or even a staple on that D line for you guys as well. But I digress. Captain, with the Raiders Broncos being a legitimate rivalry, not just within the AFC West, but certainly a storied one across the entire. It's well known across the NFL as being one of the kind of upper tiers in terms of rivalries. Where do you, frankly, you guys won the last game that we played. So, the Broncos are already at a disadvantage with that in that regard. What do you expect to see from your team? And do you think that McDaniels will forego his tankathon just to try to stick it to the Broncos again?
I don't know. I think that one of the reasons why the Raiders beat the Broncos last time was because Sierra was playing at Dre's nightclub the night before, and seriously, I'm not kidding because I know she was playing because the young lady I was I want to go see Sierra. I'm like young lady. I didn't call her B word. I said, young lady, you can stay out. You can stay out till 4:00 in the morning. My ass is going to bed because I got to wake up early and start getting ready. Okay. oh, but I want to see Sierra. I'm like, yeah, it's because the Broncos are here. That's why she's in town. Okay, go ahead, run right past me. Actually, it's past me, but I got you, Carlos. You're close enough. Yeah, don't piss me off when I get drunk. I go on grammar, schisms and things like that. Anyway.
Schisms and such.
But no, I think that the Raiders are going to. I have no idea. I will not be able to pick a Raider game for the rest of the year. I mean this. I mean, I'm not saying it for comic effect because I have no clue how badly destroyed the locker room is. If there's going to be anything that they come forward to as a group and will say, hey, we're going to win one for the Gipper. Or we're going to, win one for Jimmy the cancer boy. He's over there in the corner, like some bad Hallmark movie. I don't know. I mean, we're going to win one for Jerry Tillery because he wants to come to a great franchise and he made the mistake of signing with us because he was dropped. Yeah, I have no clue. But by the way, two for one on Tillery there for you, Coach. But
yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do. I know he's going to play well against the Garglers. Got to get that one in before I leave for the 9:00. But I don't know. I will be there. I missed last week. I told you all that. It was the first game I missed all year. And I'm kind of glad that was the one game that was my first game to miss because I was totally dumbfounded. Back to point, this guy, Rich, the guy that knows how to have cold weather bridges up in the Great White North, whereas that guy does not because he's from a crap state in the United States who doesn't know how to do roads. But the question again, and I do look good in this hat too, by the way.
I noticed that hat says Super Bowl champs. So is that from the last time the Raiders won?
Let's see, it has that, and it has that.
Oh.
And it has,
what are those though? Like the 50s?
Yeah, those are Roman numerals, long forgotten.
Yeah,
long forgotten. But I will say this. There's at least 3 of them, which is better than 2 once every 50 years, and better than I won't even say it, Coach. It's like pulling wings off a mosquito. Okay.
Yeah.
So but anyway, but it's still there. But the Raiders will have it's Mile High.
You forgot the Broncos.
I know you guys got 3. That's why one of these days before I die.
The tie needs to be broken.
I want to be brought to the gates of Saint
Lombardi.
Peter, right? Is it St. Peter? Is that the dude you got to get past muster before you get into heaven? Is it St. Peter?
Yeah,
I don't know.
So. The pearly gates of St. Peter or something. Yeah.
Al Davis is the guy at the gates, right?
Yeah. Somebody that says like he's going to be there and he'd be like Monty Python. What is your name? What is your quest? What is your favorite color? Blue. No, green. Ah! And then he's gonna pull the lever, and I'm gonna go straight to hell because that's what's going on when I go to the gates of heaven. Because the Raiders, hopefully, before I get there, and before I get unceremoniously dumped to purgatory or wherever.
Captain, since we're actually making Monty Python and the Holy Grail references in that particular scene, what is even funnier is if you actually hear the last color that he shouts before he goes down the cliff. He actually shouts out clear as a color.
Clear, that's right. It was clear.
and I mean, I think it was that moment that made me a Monty Python fan forever because to shout out the color clear in that setting was like, okay, you got me. I'm forever a fan because that's brilliant. Like that's just hilarious.
Clear.
So and for those of you who haven't seen it, I actually recommend you have to watch the Holy Grail. If you watch no Monty Python movie ever, you have to watch that. It is priceless. And even today, given the fact that it's like got to be close to 30, 40 years old now.
Oh, more.
Yeah, it is still classic even by today's. It is excellent. But so, Captain, how
Sure.
do you think your D line is going to do? I mean, obviously, we're basically playing a bunch of backups on the O line, but you have struggled quite a bit in getting pressure, which is a complete 180 from what you guys had last year.
Yeah, I wonder why. Because I told you about that curse word PG, Paul Gunther, Patrick Graham, who, by the way, was told that he is not guaranteed a contract next year, as Derek Carr was not guaranteed a contract next year. The only person that's guaranteed a contract next year is some guy by the name of Josh McDaniels, but I digress.
Ziegler.
Well, and I actually, Ziegler has not done bad. He's not done bad as a GM. It's other things, but the Raiders, it's been one guy who is probably a top, I won't say top 4 defensive end in the NFL, and that's Max Crosby. He's the one that always goes and gets all, and is. I'm sorry. He's no, F you. I caught myself. I didn't say the full
He's
word.
a top 30, I'd say.
Top 30.
He's top 5. He's top 5.
Yeah.
In the NFL.
No.
Oh no.
He's top 5.
Yeah, I'd put him in the top 5. I put him in the top 5 in the defensive ends for sure.
Yeah,
I think.
top 5.
Yeah,
And that's
Are we messing outside linebacker and DN together? Are we talking edge rusher, or are we just talking?
No, we're talking DN. We're talking DN.
Pure 43 DN. That's what we're talking about?
Just a DN.
DN.
Okay.
Just a defensive end.
All right. Okay.
DN. But like I said, it's him getting held every play and no help. And even Peggy Holmes, and I know that if you guys don't know who Peggy Holmes is, the great lady that knows a lot about football, she says it's because the Raiders get no inside pressure. That when you get
Chandler
inside
Jones
pressure,
doesn't do anything either.
No, if you get no inside pressure, you don't get those defensive ends to wrap. Chandler Jones, he's beyond.
Well, DNs won't wrap. That's the thing. DNs are in the middle.
On a milk carton. He's not even on a milk carton. He was lost in the Bermuda effing Triangle. Okay? He went to the beach in Florida and went out to Bermuda and got sucked up by the 7 guys in the ABF intruders. You know, the 7 Navy planes that vanished in Bermuda.
What guys are sucking?
Yeah. But the guys that returned in the first 5 minutes on the movie with you know that one? Those were the guys. The 7 ABF intruder. Something before your time, Alex. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Shut the F up, okay? Those were the 7 guys that came back at the beginning of the movie, were the guys from the Bermuda Triangle, those 7 ABF intruder pilots. He is still gone. Don't know. There's somebody that's wearing his jersey. I think his name is Chiller Jones, because he's definitely not Chandler.
So if you've ever seen the Will Smith movie, it's someone wearing a Chandler Jones suit, right? It's he's there. He looks like Chandler Jones, but he does not actually play like Chandler Jones.
I make this shit look good.
And so it's really interesting just how, and frankly, I'm surprised that McDaniels isn't just losing it on him. Now, Captain, isn't Jones from the New England tree, in that group?
Yeah, he is.
So
also the brother of John Bones Jones, if you didn't know that.
No, I did not. And yes, Avatar, that was Men in Black. So the first one, not the second or the third or whatever other number they're at now. Now I have a question for you, Captain. If Chandler Jones comes out next year, and all of a sudden looks just like he was before, are you not going to look at that and say insider baseball?
Is he playing for us next year, or is he still
playing
gone?
For you? No, playing for the Raiders.
Okay.
Like my point is he's from that New England umbrella, and he knows the New England way, and he knows that if he plays ball, that he's pretty much good as long as he plays ball, and the contracts that he's got is basically guaranteed. So if he comes back next year after the changes are made in the offseason, which I think are inevitable for the Raiders, and he comes back with a different defensive coordinator who's probably, going to be thrown as being a New England or at least a Josh McDaniels guy.
We got the wrong coordinator. We should have taken Wink Martindale when he was available, and who has made the Giants a great D. And I know that Gabe's still in the chat. The Giants kid. Wink Martindale would have been so much better for this defense. So much better for this defense. His problem is
but my point is that if you have a discrepancy between Chandler Jones looking like he's not even on the field right now in 2022, and then a new DC coming in, and McDaniels making changes and other changes being made, and then all of a sudden Chandler Jones comes out in 2023 and looks exactly like Chandler Jones was meant to be in 2022 and beyond, are you as a Raiders super fan not going to look at that and say, that to me looks like insider baseball? Yeah.
I have a schism.
Give me the old Jewish guy.
Right.
Since I'm the contract guy for the day, guess what? Chandler Jones is owed $25 million in guaranteed money next year, so you're stuck with him.
Yeah,
it's actually kind of crazy too. I was looking at his stats; like he had 10.5 sacks last year.
He did
in 15 games. I mean, so I don't understand how he's just.
Oh well, he's gonna get the other 10 because he has a half a sack this year, 1 tackle for loss, and maybe a couple tackles. He's gonna get the rest of those 10.
I mean, hey, he might, man.
The rest of the year.
I mean, he's had a 19 sack season, 17.
But that's my point. Is he comes from that New England umbrella. He knows McDaniels. He knows Ziegler. He knows the other New England folks that are there.
He knows Graham because Graham is
numbers. They were in Arizona. They were
in Arizona.
Arizona.
He was only in New England for 4 years.
Right.
2015 was his last year, but I mean, he still knows McDaniels and those guys.
So my only point is that when you have someone that comes from the previous regime and system, who's now back with a bunch of guys from the previous regime and system on a new team, and you have a guy who's uncharacteristically underperforming, and a team that is underperforming based on where expectations were at the beginning of the season, it's another one of those kind of pieces that are just out of place that, you can't help but start questioning, is kind of where my point is, where I'm going with that.
Yeah. Well, if you're saying that they got the information, we're going to suck for luck, like the Colts did years ago. If that's the truth,
tank for two, suck for luck, whatever you want to, wherever you want to go. For it. Yeah,
that last.
Here's the point. Here's the point. Is that honestly, I think that the Raiders, if that's what they were doing, I don't want to go to say, okay, first couple picks, because remember, we've already had a Jabustis issue. Okay, I don't want to have another Jabustis issue. Bryce Young is a good kid, but he's a twig, and I'm sure he's fine. And all of the the comparisons to Drew Brees, no, okay. And by the I don't associate with assholes. So anyway, but Bryce Young is a twig. I like Stroud, but they said Stroud he's not really mobile. So you need somebody who's mobile. So that throws Stroud out there. Man. He's a twig. He needs to gain about 30 pounds, and then hopefully that will.
What, you gonna get the dude from Kentucky? You're gonna get
No. That's what I'm saying. The Raiders need a good defense. You get the best defensive player available in the draft, and then in the second or third round, because we kind of did okay for Carr. Oh, Brian, thank you. If we get Stroud, I think Stroud is the best of all I've seen. I also think that there might be a possibility. And he will need a lot of coaching. The kid from Florida, because he's big, he's strong, he can throw a rocket.
Well, you're talking about Jamarcus Russell's situation. You take the dude from Florida. That's definitely going to be that.
He's Jamarcus Russell's clone. He's Jamarcus Russell's clone. He's big, he's strong, he's got a rocket arm. He's not very what do you call it? Can throw passes to people that he wants to throw them to.
He's not very
accurate.
Accurate. Thank you. Hey, I would have gotten it eventually. I need another drink.
Right. So if I look at the Raiders Broncos game, I think what the Raiders are going to be challenged with, honestly, is your injuries on the offensive side. And I think that's going to be a major issue. I also think that our defense is going to cause Derek Carr some legitimate challenges.
I like that. Devin Hooker out of UT.
And then the other thing that I think the Broncos are going to need to truly work on is adapting their offensive scheme to adjust both in the second half, but also adjust to their opponent and what they're seeing. And I don't think we haven't seen that happen in 4 or 5 weeks at least. And I think that's going to be a real issue. So I think what we might see is a bit of what we saw against the Titans. The Broncos got off. We did well. We really had a lead for a good portion of the game, but then we never adjusted. So we had some injuries and stuff. Fine, fair enough. But we never adjusted as the game went on. We never went to flanking tight ends in 12 personnel sets, which is a tight end on the left side of the left tackle and a tight end on the right side of the right tackle. And I keep harping back on that because when you have an offensive line that is between second and third stringers across the line, they need help, especially the tackles, because they're dealing with NFL caliber pass rushers. And you need to be able to protect your quarterback to give them the time to allow deeper plays to develop, maybe deep crossing routes, whatever the case may be. And if you're not going to do that, then you need to start running the ball more. And for whatever reason, the Broncos are trying to play some variation of a brand of hero ball where they try to constantly throw 30 and 40-yard passes down the field to try to make those, highlight reel big pass plays that Mahomes throws the 40-yard bomb to Tooney, or, Herbert throws the, 55-yard, bomb down the field to Allen when he can finally make a play on the field when he's not hurt, like stuff like that. Right. And the Broncos are just not in a position to play that kind of football with their current offensive line or injuries. And I would like to see them make some changes in that regard. But I have zero confidence in what I've seen so far that we're capable of doing so. And so I know I've been really, really critical of Russell Wilson, and I do still believe
so, though.
No, but I do still believe that a large portion of this is in fact on Russell Wilson, but there have certainly been a multitude of plays that I have seen on the field with the Broncos where they have not given Russell Wilson outlet throws. Those short, quick passes to the running backs or very short throws to the tight end after blocking and then kind of breaking out, very, very close to the line of scrimmage. We just haven't seen a ton of those for the Broncos. And we also have not seen adjustments.
I got a solution. And you know how people like swap jerseys after the game? Yeah. What they need to do is Russell Wilson needs to swap jerseys with Derek Carr because he's got all of those outlet things that McDaniels wants him because he's been throwing to Jacobs a lot outlet. If that's what he needs to do, they should just swap jerseys before the game and be done with it. And this way he would have that opportunity. He'd be playing for the Raiders, of course. But, that if that's what he needs to do, then at least he would be able to do it because I don't know if that
would be I'd take that trade all day long.
Yeah, but I mean, if that's what he needs, he's just
seriously. I would take Derek Carr currently right now over Russell Wilson.
And
Man,
you know what?
I heard that right.
Yeah, I get
sound for that, Coach. That's a hot alert.
He's going to be available. He's going to be available. I'm just saying it's going to be available.
No, but my point is, if I took Derek Carr's contract that's coming up,
Yeah,
and I took Russell Wilson's contract that's coming up. I would say you take Wilson, I'll take Carr, and I think I'd be better off with that trade.
Wow.
I do, and especially considering what I'm seeing from the offensive play calling, where I'm seeing wide receivers wide open. I'm seeing, in my opinion, Hackett is only a part of the problem, but I believe that Wilson is the bigger part of the problem, and that's kind of just where I stand on that. Now, both are to blame, but when you allocate percentages, this is a percentage. This is a percentage game, and in my opinion, actually, Wilson holds the much larger percentage, especially given the fact that he has commanded such a high salary for his services.
Won't wear a wristband though.
No,
I'm just kidding.
Then give him a headband, and then he can start doing yoga with Sierra, and hopefully that'll help. But it's just ridiculous. But Alex, we're gonna shimmy shake down to the lower portion of the screen where we have the Chargers versus Chiefs. Again, that'll be I'm very much looking forward to the AFC West matchups this week. I will be watching all of them because I really think that this is going to be very telling to see what our division is going to look like on a go-forward basis.
Oh yeah,
Coach and Alex, Coach, I'm going to throw over to you, even though you were late, and I probably shouldn't. But I'm going to throw over to you.
My fault.
No, I know. It's your city works folks that can't fix roads properly. I'm going to throw over to you and get your take on the Chargers versus Chiefs.
Well, I mean, there is some promising news from the injury report perspective. We did see Keenan Allen and Mike Williams show up today in practice and do individual work, and they didn't look too shabby out there running drills. So our hope and our prayer is that they play come Sunday night, and they have a little extra time to go because we play Sunday night as opposed to the afternoon time because they flex it to Sunday night. So now, it's definitely a more interesting game if they do play.
Especially if Williams plays. That dude's like a Chiefs killer, man.
That's what they call him. In Chargers Twitter, they call him the Chiefs killer. They was more excited about Mike being playing than they were Keenan. I was like, that's a switch, but okay. Hey, we'll take wherever we can get it. So I think that at least if Mike plays,
I'll talk to you later, Gary.
If Mike plays, there you go. If Mike plays, I think we're better off offensively for sure. Lining him up with him and Josh Palmer, and hopefully Joe Everett plays. Because we're hemorrhaging a tight end as well. We're looking at Trey McKenty and Richard Rodgers as our 1 and 2. That's not promising from a tight end perspective. But I think that overall, regardless of who plays the receiver, I think that we have to try to stick with the running game in certain facets. But be creative with it, because I think that what they're lacking and what they're not doing is being situational with their runs versus saying I'm going to run every first down. Like I think that's the biggest thing that they're missing. They say that we don't run on first down. Okay, now we're behind the chain. Now we got to throw it every down. Like it doesn't always have to be that way. You could short pass it on first down, run it on second, and then you can do whatever you feel like on third, depending on the down distance. So I think that's one of the things we have to try to do is try to find some balance and take the pressure off Justin Herbert to have to throw the ball 40, 50 times a game. Not to say he can't do it efficiently, but look at Josh Allen. Just take a page out of that book when they have nothing but him as a runner and a passer. So, I think that's something that we need to be able to get back to a certain facets when, again, you have two, offensive linemen you drafted who are, really versed in run blocking. I just think that they need to be more creative when they run. So we do that part, and then we have anybody to throw to this week as opposed to the last 5. I think we'll be better off. And we all know, just like if anybody's watched the Chiefs Chargers matchup since Brandon Staley's been there, that he always has a great scheme and matches up well against this team. He always gives the team as much problems as they've seen all year. So I think
Captain's going to get going, guys. I just wanted to say see you to Captain, and I know you got to get going to NFL Nation
Live. Go ahead and schism on out of here, will you?
Yeah, go ahead and shove on out of here.
No schism. Hey, always a pleasure, gentlemen. For everybody that's here except for one a-hole, it's always been a pleasure hanging out at Wild Wild West. So take care. We'll see you later.
Have a good one.
Have a good one, Cap. Yeah, so I mean, get back to what I was saying. That I think that if we have pass catchers though to one or two, Keenan and Mike are more preferable than anything. Especially if we have issues at tight end, I think we will be better off having both in them in certain facets. Even if, say, hypothetically, Keenan is on a pitch count because of his hamstring, if he does play a significant amount of snaps, that'll bode well for the offense. Overall. And again, I always like the way Brandon Staley gets up for and schemes for the Chiefs, and he gives them problems and defensively. And there's always been something that it's something to watch for, in a sense that you always have to wonder what Brandon Staley is going to do differently, and he's going to play them differently than most teams do. So again, it is not a normal progression of offense that the Chiefs typically have. So we do that. We keep that the way it needs to be and keep that status quo. And we have somebody to throw to, and we run the ball even mediocre in this game. I give us a good shot at winning. But if those things don't happen and we don't have anybody to throw to, then I just look for us to cover the spread. That's my take on it. I think we cover the spread, but I'm not confident that with no receivers and no tight end that we will have a lot of offense to give KC a run for their money, in all honesty.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. No, I mean, that's the biggest thing to watch is, it's an AFC West game, so no matter how far on paper it seems apart, it's going to be a close game. Always True. Is, especially Chiefs Chargers as of late. Although the Chiefs historically, I say historically because it's not been that long, have been successful in SoFi against the Chargers, have yet to lose there. We know what Kelsey did at the end of that game last year. That was pretty, what do you call it? Beast mode. But the biggest thing to watch is just the Chargers' health. They already are going to go into this game without Bosa, which is different than what that week 2 matchup was like. And they have a lot more, for me as a Chiefs fan looking at it, they have a lot more missing on defense compared to how they, played that week 2 matchup, to where I think KC scores more than 24 points. But as Coach was saying, the biggest thing to watch is if Mike Williams or Keenan Allen are both play, because that totally changes the dynamic of the Chargers. Obviously the Chargers are a good team for the amount of injuries they've had. You're talking about the Broncos and Chargers competing for injuries. Well, look at the Broncos record, look at the Chargers record. So, they're still a good team. They're still in games. They're 5-2. Chiefs are 2 games up on them right now. And if they win this, obviously pretty clear path to win the AFC West. If they lose, Chargers still have somewhat of a shot to get the title. So, they're going to come into it regardless of who they got ready to go. And it's going to be a close game. In my opinion, though, I just think with how the Chiefs have been rolling, especially offensively, comparing that with how many people are going to be hurt for the Chargers defensively, I think you're just going to get into a point where they're just not going to be able to keep up with them scoring if they don't have, Mike Williams or Keenan Allen out there, or both. If they have one of them, then I think we see it be a closer game. But if they come into it without either one of those and without Gerald Everett, and I didn't even recognize half of the name. I didn't even know Richard Rodgers still played. So
yeah, he wasn't until we picked him up. Yeah.
Well, I was like, I remember that dude is catching some Hail Mary in Detroit like 5 years ago. So.
There you go. Yeah, I definitely share that sentiment with you that, it's really just a matter of who's lining up on Sunday, how competitive it will be. Because if nothing else, I think that what you can balance out in this game with the Chargers and Chiefs, if you have a healthy offense, is that you can almost go blow for blow. But if you are studying on offense and you give them more chances to move the ball, then that will not bode well for the score. I would definitely agree with that. So we have to have a healthy bout of offense in order to compete with the Chiefs. That's
it's like DZ was saying, none of the national media is picking the Chargers to win. But if you just had a Bosa, if they were 75-80% healthy versus what their lineup looked like week 1, you're going to have half of them picking the Chargers to win, and rightfully so, because they are a good team. But I think when you just couple in the injuries with kind of how Lombardi's called their offense and how stuff is staled out as games go on, I think we see KC win this one. And I think they pull away with it more towards the end. Just mainly because the Chargers are just going to be so depleted. And KC's offense just seems to be continuing to progress. I mean, the big thing to watch, like Juju's out right now. There's a plethora of receivers that are hurt right now.
Yeah,
not practicing for KC.
Protocol. Yeah, and Hardman's still hurt too, isn't he?
Hardman, Scantling, and Juju all did not practice today. But they have Tony, which he had kind of coming out. But if I'm KC, I'm aggressively attacking the front seven of the Chargers. Like, I am running the crap out of the ball, playing quick game, and just and almost dying on the sword, if you will, of running the ball, just because they haven't really been able to stop it as of late. On top of the injuries, with the D tackles and just injuries in the front seven in general. Yeah. I think that's the key to success for KC, is to run the ball, kind of get that going, and then
kind of counterintuitive, right?
Yeah,
it is. It's completely counterintuitive to what your typical game plan is against a lot of teams, because you have a quarterback who is known for his arm.
Oh yeah.
I think that is a 100% fair statement, where you have a quarterback who is quite literally famous or infamous at this point for his arm, and throwing the ball at any and all angles, which is, I think is actually a real a testament to the fact that, he was a legitimate baseball player too.
He was a baller.
And he's just an all-around gifted athlete. Yeah, he's just a gifted athlete, and I think that his father's baseball side, I think, has really, I think that's really helped Mahomes showcase the benefit of arm angles and practicing those and that type of stuff, in terms of how important that can be at the next level for the NFL. And if you do it the right way, it can really elevate your game. The one thing I will say about your comment about the Broncos earlier is that we've lost almost every single one of our games, if not every single one of our games, by one score.
Yeah.
And that just happens when you're holding your opponent to 17 points. That's you're getting to a point of almost being historic when you get to that low in terms of points allowed against, and then you're also getting to a point of pathetic when you're still losing as many games as the Broncos have been.
But I'm like, just as if you were to tell me at the start of the year, or coach even, if going into what week are we in here? 9, 10, 11. Going into week 11, Chargers are going to be 5-2 and play most of the year without Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Joey Bosa, J.C. Jackson. Name more.
Right.
You'd be pretty shocked. You'd be like, no way.
Right.
And I think that's just a testament for how good of a team they are overall, because they're able to win those close games when they don't have all the weapons they thought they would. Right. Now, with that being said, though,
actually, Alex, can I just interject? I have a question overall for both of you.
Yeah.
Do you think the fact that Staley has been able to perform, or have his team perform the way that it has? There's been some talk that Staley may get fired at the end of the season.
There has.
But there has. Like I don't mean just like, onesies, twosies. There's been legitimate,
I think you have to, though.
But when you look at how well the Chargers, they're 5-2.
5-4. I keep
or 5-4.
I keep saying 5-2.
I know what the record was. I won't go correct you. I'll take 5-2.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so they're like, the Chargers are 5-4, and they are the second most injured team in the NFL, only behind my Denver Broncos.
Now that's only for 1 week. We've been way about bottom of the list about 5 weeks.
And last week, the week before, and the week before that, they were the number 1 injured team in the NFL.
Yeah.
And so the fact that Staley has been able to keep their team that competitive at the National Football League level, do you think something like that would save his job?
I don't think so.
Well, I would say this: the only way it wouldn't save his job, in my opinion, because you also have to realize that despite what the outcry is outside of the building, the players love Brandon Staley.
They do.
They buy into him. They like him. So that particular aspect of it, that influence is going to keep him in that seat unless Sean Payton comes in the door.
Yeah.
If Sean Payton, if you have to choose between Staley and Sean Payton, you choose a proven Super Bowl winning coach versus Brandon Staley. However, if anything void of that is available, you keep Brandon Staley in the building, and you maybe fire Lombardi as an offensive coordinator, get a new offensive coordinator.
You absolutely do that. No doubts about that.
Yeah, you do that, but you don't let the head coach go. You let him run the show, and keep improving his defense, and you let the offensive coordinator change and get that back on track as far as Justin Herbert's production and his numbers. So especially with
it obviously. The Chargers have always talked. I mean, it's like Super Bowl or bust almost, right?
Right.
I mean, you got to, or at least be in a sustainable model to be making the AFC Championship game, or in the consideration of it, making a deep playoff run almost every year. I mean, Anthony Lynn was successful. And I mean, didn't he make the playoffs the year he got fired? But they clearly were like, "You're not the guy for what we want to do."
No, he wasn't. He was 2 years removed from that. He got fired.
2 years removed. Yeah.
But I felt like when they fired him, I was like, "Damn!" Like I thought he was doing pretty well. But I mean, outsider looking in, not really following on the inner workings of it. I mean, to me, it seemed like the Chargers were like, "Lynn, for even as successful as we've been."
Yeah, that's in line with these. He said they haven't fired a coach until his contract has been up. So that's typically what it. Like I said, and only a caveat to that: if Sean Payton walks in the door, you would maybe consider it. You would highly consider it. But outside of that, I got a feeling that Brandon Staley will.
You'd have to give away picks,
and it's going to be hard to knock someone.
And this is actually the one thing that I don't know, and I have no problem admitting this. But it's one of those things that I'm now going to be aggressively looking up. Is can Sean Payton literally walk into the Chargers headquarters to talk to the owner and say, "I want to coach for you"? Like, is that like because?
Yeah, I mean, I think he could.
No,
it's the same situation.
My point is that there's a tampering period, right? Like, you can't tamper with players as NFL teams. Does that same rule apply for coaches? I honestly just don't know the answer to that.
He's retired though. Gronk was retired. He was clearly talking to Brady and the Bucks about how to work his way to that roster. That was
I think that's where you draw the line at the fact that he's retired. But I think that if he does reinstate himself, I think it becomes a tampering issue if he's legitimately in reinstated within the league, and it does the Saints still have him under contract? Because I don't know how many years he had left when he retired. If he had 2 more years left,
he had a couple years left, so you'd have to actually give up draft picks. But my point is
that 2 years removed. We'll be 2 years from movement at that point.
What do you mean?
This will be the second year.
It doesn't matter. They own his rights.
Do they? That's the question.
Yeah,
Is he still on the contract?
No. I know that for sure. That was not a question.
He signed with the Saints through 24.
Oh, well, there you go. You got to
my point is, I know that for a fact. The Saints own his rights.
Okay.
But my overall general kind of comment there was, okay, can he actually walk up to your owner and say, "Hey, Spanos, come get me," kind of thing? And,
or have a representative say that. He can have somebody representative say that.
Yeah, but
on his behalf, you can do that.
Right. But no, but my point is that he might not even need to be that incognito about it. He might be able to just walk into the front door and say,
he could.
"Hey, buddy, do you want to have dinner?" Like, you know what I mean? Like,
let's talk. Let's talk. Listen,
let's go to the cafeteria and have a chat. You know what I mean?
I'm here for it. Like, I would even argue that let Brandon Staley coach the defense and let Sean Payton run the team, and we'd be good to go. That's a dream, of course, but yet again, I love that.
But ultimately, my point to the Chargers, to you, Coach, and actually just in general for the Chargers fans is you have a coach right now who has had a team with, a just ridiculous number of injuries with the Chargers, who has a winning record. I mean, there's no other way of putting it. You have a winning record. That is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we're still talking about firing him.
Well, that's the impatient banter that you get with fans and
you're in a tight window though too. I mean, like, you got Herbert on his rookie deal, but that's not for long.
You want to win now.
You spent a lot of money on other free agent pieces that you thought were going to plug in and usurp KC, and unfortunately that might have been the case if everything went according to plan and didn't have injuries. But unfortunately, that's an unfortunate aspect of football. But I do think
that'll be an interesting one, by the way.
Wow, yeah. The
because there, those who live in California know that their taxes are obscene.
I will say this though, he is working for Fox in LA now, so he's already living in California at this moment.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
fair
so
enough.
Because he's on a sports radio show every week, through Monday through Wednesday before he does coverage on the weekend. So he living in California already, working for Fox. So that's not really an issue. So he's already living in California. Not to say that he's going to coach for a California team at any point in time. I'm just saying he is that. If you want to, you say that's a deal breaker. Then
no. He's already said that he likes California.
Right. So
he's
basically a deal breaker. Yeah.
He's basically put it out there to the world that.
Oh, hey, by the way, I got a house.
Yeah.
I
would really not like to go back to New Orleans. I really enjoy California.
Right. One more year. One more year. That's right.
And I like coaching football a lot.
This is off topic, but do you guys see that there's like a movie on Netflix that's like about when Sean Payton was suspended and Kevin James plays him? It's like
really?
Yeah, I've seen it.
It's just funny. It's just funny that
Sean Payton had an interview about that.
James, so I'd be down to watch that just because I like Kevin James.
Yeah, I can't remember.
No, Sean Payton had an interview about that.
Did he?
Oh, did he?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Go find it. Sean Payton, was saying to Kevin James's praises in terms of how he approached that role and the fact that they had some discussions.
Okay.
I know it's just funny, because it's just Kevin James. It's just not who I'd picture to be Sean Payton. But
right,
like I said,
but he dropped a lot of weight for that role.
He has because he's not Sean Payton size normally.
No.
He's not Sean Payton size normally.
So, he dropped a lot of weight for that role, and I've heard actually good things about that. So,
nice.
But Alex, with regards to the Chargers, what do you think your formula is going to be to try to beat the Chargers overall? Because your pass rush is good, not great, and in some respects, one could argue that plays a little bit into the Chargers' hands. If I'm going to be perfectly honest, because even with the Chargers' banged up offensive line, it's not like your pass rush is, I don't know.
This is also the same pass rush that effed up Herbert's ribs. So.
Y'all sit the house on that blitz. That's not.
I'm just saying, though. I'm just saying.
The house on that blitz. You didn't rush 4 and get home with that one. Don't let's not do that.
Hey, but they do got Chris Jones.
He's a game wrecker, and there's no denying that. But ultimately,
Zion they battled last time. They had to move Chris Jones over to the other side to get pressure because at that point,
they waited until Lindsley got hurt and then just put him right over the back center, which is exactly what I would do too.
Exactly. I would too if I.
No, but I do it for as much favorable stats as the Chiefs have in terms of like defensive pressures and stuff. They don't seem to get a whole lot of pivotal sacks or like drive killing type plays like that. With that being said, though, the Chiefs defense has been pretty solid for how much turnover they had and how young they were going into the season.
The back end, especially.
And like with stopping the run, ETN, I thought for sure ETN was going to like go off, and they seem to held him pretty good. Pretty much almost any team they've played, they've kind of contained the run a lot more than teams have expected them. And what I was going to say earlier with whether Mike Williams or Keenan Allen will be back, Trent McDuffie's also back for KC, and he wasn't playing in week 2, and he's very much proven to be. Everything as advertised in terms of a coverage corner.
Right.
And so I think that's kind of something to watch,
especially healthy on defense. Let's be honest.
Yeah. They've been getting healthier as the offense has also been getting, meshing better. So,
right.
But that is the one knock with KC is they don't, outside of Chris Jones, don't have that that perennial edge rusher or second complementary piece. But at the same time, LA, the Chargers are going to come in with just Mac. And it's not the tandem, but I think the key will be just continuing the pressure they've been doing, with Jones up front, and really just having long sustained drives and making sure you leave every drive with points on the board. And I think with how their defense has gotten healthier and the people they've gotten back, especially comparing the Williams that had the pick 6 in week 2 was like flipping burgers at Wendy's and like a 7th round pick. Not your
concert.
Not who you would think would be out there to contribute. And they've gotten healthier in the secondary, while the Chargers have gotten less healthy in terms of their aerial attack. So I think as long as KC kind of keeps the status quo in how they've played in stopping the run and just the method of attack in terms of pressure that they've done in this past few weeks, regardless if they get sacks or not, I think you see him pull away at the end. But I do still think it's going to be like a close game, just because it always is.
Right.
The Chargers.
I think an interesting formula with this game would be, honestly and truly, let's say hypothetically Juju and McCole don't play, right?
Yeah.
Let's say it's Valdez Scantling hurt too, right? Let's say all 3 of them don't play.
So Valdez Scantling has an illness though, so like
but again, he hasn't been the X factor. It's been more Juju and Hartman lately.
He had a touchdown last week though, once Juju went out. So
right, so we'll see. But I mean, typically he hasn't been the guy Patrick Mahomes has been looking for typically. So if you lose those 2 guys, hypothetically, and this is going to really play into Andy Reid's mindset. Like if he really gets into his mind that he really wants to throw more so than run, then it really could be an interesting game. And let's say hypothetically we're healthy from the receiver perspective. It really could be a toss-up, in my opinion, because again, you're down 2 receivers, we're up 2 receivers. Yeah. And if he doesn't lend to the running game, and I mean when I mean lend to the running game, you got to do it for 4 quarters, because you got to wear down that defensive front, because because although they might be stout in the beginning of the game because they're really good against the run, as the game goes on, you get tired. Those type of things you aren't as fresh. You start giving up more yardage. So if he's committed to it for 4 quarters, then it would lean more towards the Chiefs winning the game. But if he gives up on it, or he takes it to the back seat a little bit and try to throw the ball more, then it could get in.
And that's an interesting, that you make that point, because I feel like that is what they do when, especially in these AFC West games, like they'll start off super successful running the ball, and then it's just like, no, we want to pass now. Right. And they just won't go back to it.
They won't go back to it.
Like,
right.
They did the same thing twice against the Bengals last year. Like, very clearly had a lead if they just would have ran the ball, keep running the ball, chew clock. But they decide not to do that. So I mean, that definitely is something to look or keep in mind. But I think kind of given that they're trying to bring Pacheco up. I think you see him emphasize the run, especially just with the fact that the Chargers up front, especially in the interior D line, are already hurt, are already got practice squad guys up there, and not normal contributors. I think you see him make a point to attack that early and often.
So just to quickly interject before we get, because we're getting to the very back end of the show here, we haven't done this in the past though. But I mean, this is AFC West week, if you will, in terms of
stance.
Yeah. So exactly. What do you think the score is going to be in the KC Chargers game? I'll ask both of you, and I'm going to also ask the audience here, the folks that are joining us, to chime in with their score predictions.
Yeah, put your score predictions in the chat.
I want to see
72-3.
What?
No, I'm kidding. I just wanted to. I think it's going to be like 35-28 or something.
It's going to be that high of a scoring game? You think so?
I mean, I don't see KC scoring less than 28. So I mean, I think, but like I said, the Chargers, they're always close games. And like even when they haven't looked like it leading into the game, in the games before that, in terms of scoring, somehow it's like the Chargers offense comes to life and it turns into a shootout. And honestly, I think Herbert kind of plays better when he goes against Mahomes because of that. I definitely sort of like those games, sort of like interleague rivalry they have going. you definitely see like Herbert kind of changes his game in Chiefs games. So, I mean, I do think it will be a pretty high scoring game. And probably, I mean, it's either be a like 7-point margin or 3-point margin, like somewhere in there. I don't see it being like a big blowout or anything.
I'm going to say 27-24, and I'm not going to say who wins.
Yeah,
whoever wins is going to have 27, other team's going to have 24. It's going to come down to a kick.
I at least had the marbles to say who I thought was going to win, man.
Well, I would say this. If Keenan and Mike play, 27-24 us. If Keenan and Mike don't play, then we cover the spread.
Yes, I think I have a 31-24 game in favor of KC in the Chargers versus KC game. I just think that the Kansas City Chiefs are just the margin of health, I think, is what I'm basically, throwing out there as the reason for the score differential. In terms of the Chargers Raiders, I do think the Raiders Broncos rather. I think the Broncos will win this one.
Oh yeah.
I don't think
first time you're ever going to catch me say that.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be by as much as we should. And I think that there's going to be just this ridiculous nonsense again of the Broncos won. We figured it all out. And then, like, of course, my answer to that is no, you just played a really bad team. Now check yourself.
Yeah.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Yeah, exactly. It's ridiculous. So I actually see the Broncos winning. I have this. I think we actually cracked the 20-point mark this game. I think we're 23-21, somewhere in that range there in terms of points. I do think our defense shows out, though, and I think that this is going to be one of those games where it's like a 10 to 13 point on the Raiders side.
Trying to see what the last one was, 32-23. Yeah.
But you have to remember, Josh Jacobs is their only offensive weapon.
Yeah,
that is at an elite talent right now that the Broncos have ever really struggled with,
and they're still into the run right now. Like they're just shutting the run down. So
and the Broncos, the Broncos kept Derrick Henry to 55.
Yeah,
that's saying a lot.
And
Josh Jacobs last game had 28 carries for 144 yards.
No, don't get me wrong.
No, I'm saying, like, I don't see him doing that this time. Like,
no. I think the Broncos defense is too good to allow that to happen. But the other thing to keep in mind is, where are those running yards coming from? So are they coming between the 20s, or are they coming from like 50 to the end zone?
Yeah.
Right. And so if you're allowing the running game to happen between the 20s, but then shutting it right down once you get to the red zone, and also keeping in mind that the Broncos are the number one red zone defense in the NFL, period.
Mm-hmm.
And it, actually by a reasonable margin as well, if I can be honest. So, it's one of the things that is rather remarkable, just how bad the Broncos are doing, given how well the defense is playing, which Evero really deserves. If the Broncos weren't playing as bad as they were,
you got a number one ranked defense in the league right now.
We do. Yeah, okay. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, yeah.
I'm pretty sure. We're either number one or like number two, something like that.
Yeah, between y'all and the Bills, y'all Bills and the 49ers is what I'm reading.
Well, the Jets are up there too, aren't they?
Jets are 9.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it goes Broncos, Bills, Niners, Cowboys, Patriots, Eagles, then Titans, then Giants, then Jets.
The Broncos have the. I truly want to know the information on this, and I haven't had a chance to do it. The Broncos have have basically the best defense in the league this year, and we have the worst offense in the league this year.
I can give you offensive numbers too. You're around. Let's see.
We are dead ass last
in total offense.
In total offense, we are dead last.
I have you as 9th here.
No, there's no way.
Let me double check.
Dude, we haven't. We've scored 20 points once.
Yeah.
Once. Okay, Coach. I don't think you quite here. I just like on a broadcast across the internet, recorded forever.
Okay,
right?
yeah, I see it. Yeah, y'all bottom.
Right?
Y'all bottom. Y'all not last, but y'all are bottom tier. Yeah,
The Broncos defense has an average points against of 17 or under.
Yeah.
And we have a losing record.
16.6. Yep. 16.
And we have a losing record.
And the defense on the offense is 14.6. Yep. Offense 14.6, defense 16.6.
Right. So let me know the last time that happened ever.
I don't know. Yeah.
Is my point, right? Like, it's brutal.
Yeah.
Broncos haven't scored 23 points is the most they've ever scored.
Like the average of 14. The defense averaging giving up 16. So
well, I mean, it stands to reason when the defense is averaging 16.6 points and you still have a losing record, you only lose when your offense doesn't score enough points to cover that defensive points against. And again, it's absolutely remarkable on just how historically good our defense is compared to how infamously bad our offense is.
Yeah, I mean, the offensive score 131 points, the defense giving up a 149.
Correct.
Yeah.
But what's important is to look at where those two stack up, right?
That's like a team in fantasy football that like you score a lot every week, but you also go against the first highest scorer.
Yeah.
I'm third, right? I've scored the most points in the league, but I'm second. I've given up the second most points in the league as well. So everybody that plays me give me their best game. That's
You're the Denver Broncos of fantasy football, man.
Hey, I'm third. I'm winning. I'm third in the league. I'm not bottom. Sorry.
Right. So guys, that's gonna wrap up our show for today, which with this week 11 recap, as well as the week 11 look ahead and the week 11 or week 10 rather recap. I mean, week 11 is, like I said, it's a rather unique week where all AFC West plays each other, which is quite remarkable. A super, super interesting thing. I really do think that we should all be watching all of the AFC West games if we possibly can.
Oh yeah,
because it's really going to give you.
We don't really have any excuse because
only 2 games to watch.
Sunday night,
right?
Sunday night football, nothing else going on.
Yeah. So I think it'll be really important for us to kind of keep up on each other and kind of see where we're at and what's going on at this point in the season. And guys, for the Wild Wild West podcast, my name is RichiRichEh of the MHRT Network. To my left now is Coach Defense of the Locked On Defense podcast. And below here is Alex Givens, contributor for Arrowhead Addict. You have Broncos, Chiefs, and Chargers. Captain Jack had to leave us for his other podcast at 9 p.m. The NFL Nation Live podcast on his channel as the Raiders fan. And until next week, where we review our divisional games in week 11 and a week ahead in week 12. See you next time, where the West Side is the best side. Peace.